We are living in the most visible time in human history. More people have a platform than ever before. More people are creating content than ever before. More people are building audiences than ever before. And yet, many of the most experienced voices remain invisible. Why? I've spent over 25 years in television and media. As an executive producer, I have helped shape the way the world sees people, brands, leaders, and ideas. I've put thousands of people on camera. I have helped shape careers. I have literally given experts a platform. And yet, I spent the majority of that time invisible myself. The irony is, I wasn't invisible because I lacked experience. I wasn't invisible because of lack of opportunities or I didn't know what to say. I was invisible because of the story I believed about myself. I realized I wasn't alone. Many people share that same story. Somewhere along the lines, we were told that being visible is unsafe, uncomfortable, or unnecessary. There's a concern about being judged. I mean, what will people think? Or perhaps it's about self-consciousness and concerned that people will think you're bragging. Or maybe you were taught a story that working hard is what matters. So shouldn't my work speak for itself? Or maybe like me, you grew up in a culture where being visible was not encouraged. My mom would often say, "Aib," which means inappropriate, or "Hayahtuk ain," which means you're gonna attract the evil eye. Now, these stories made sense in the world our parents grew up in, but they don't make sense in the world we live in today. When I was growing up, visibility was reserved for celebrities and influencers and major institutions. It simply was not possible. However, the world we live in today, we're all walking around with a publishing studio and a TV channel and a distribution network in our pocket. Visibility is now available for everyone, yet most of the experienced voices still remain absent from the conversation. That is the problem. Whilst visibility is available for everyone, not everyone is embracing it equally. If you look at the creator economy, it is primarily being built and shaped by those in their 20s and 30s. They've understood attention, they've mastered algorithms, they know how to hook an audience within seconds. Now, that is a valuable skill, but is attention alone enough? I've come to believe that there is a credibility gap. We're hearing more voices, they're not all the most experienced. Have you ever been scrolling through your social media feed, and we don't mean any ill will, but you happen to spot someone attract an opportunity that you know you're right for? Perhaps they're not as experienced as you, perhaps they don't have your credentials, perhaps they haven't been in the market as long as you, but somehow there they are, on the stage, on the front cover, winning the award, working with the client. They have that opportunity that you know you're qualified for. And the thought may run through your mind, how did that happen? It's simple. You've been leapfrogged. Not because they have more experience, not because they're more credible than you, because they're more visible than you. And the hack that's allowing this leapfrogging to happen is known as the creator economy, or more accurately, the attention economy. So why are experienced experts sitting on the sidelines? I think it's because they're holding on to a set of beliefs that they have never challenged. A set of beliefs that once served them, but are holding them back today. And in my case, there were 5. Belief number 1, if I work hard, they will notice. Let me tell you a story about working hard. I was very fortunate to work on a massive Hollywood blockbuster movie, none other than Mission Impossible. Any guesses the number 1 question I get asked when people find out I worked on a movie? Did I meet Tom Cruise? How tall is he? How nice is he? I get asked every question under the sun about Tom Cruise. I do not get asked a single question about what I did on the movie. Having been in the TV industry now for over 25 years, I've had the privilege of creating multiple TV shows and nurturing talent, despite being the creator, the executive producer, and the employer of all the presenters on my shows. Who do you think receives the gift, the invite, the accolade? The on-camera talent. I was okay with this. It was a choice I made. I'm proud of my career. Until I noticed something important. Attention goes where the spotlight is. No one was paying attention to my hard work behind the scenes. I've come to understand that the world we live in, perception is based on what you see. So if you're going to work hard on anything, it better be your personal brand, because that is the only brand that sticks with you your entire life. The world we live in, perception is reality. On to belief number 2. Visibility is not for serious CEOs. Alongside my career as an executive producer, I built a company. I'm a CEO. I understand media. I understand storytelling. However, I still believed that fame and visibility were reserved for celebrities and influencers and those chasing it. Not me. I'm a serious CEO. Serious CEOs build serious businesses. Visibility is optional. Until I started to look at the data. It may surprise you to learn that 50% of a company's market share is determined by the CEO's reputation. People are also significantly more likely to trust and work with an organization if the leader is visible. I started to look at the leaders who I respected. They weren't invisible. They were sharing ideas and shaping conversations. So perhaps visibility wasn't about attention. Perhaps visibility was about building trust. It genuinely surprised me because I used to believe that visibility was vanity. I was wrong. Visibility is sanity. In fact, it's a data-driven strategy. On to belief number 3. Social media is a waste of time. I used to look at the amount of time it would take to create content and think, oh my God, surely there's a better use of our time. I'm in media. I thought, let me give it a go myself. I'll be the experiment. I posted daily for 4 years. What didn't surprise me was the growth in visibility. What surprised me was the growth in relationships. I now understand that content creation is the new networking. The more content I put out there, the more I saw a return on my investment, time, opportunities, relationships. In fact, the more people saw me as a credible expert, the more opportunities I started to attract. Until one day, I actually landed a government inquiry straight into my LinkedIn messages. I was concerned that social media was distracting me from business development. It has become business development. On to belief number 4. Visibility is culturally inappropriate. Oh, and I'm too old. I am an Arab female, and you grow up with a certain set of beliefs, and they start to impact how you show up. And I was very fortunate to work with the simply outstanding Manal Al-Alam. For those of you who don't know her, she is known as the Queen of Arab cuisine. And I asked her how she got started, and she said, you know what, it was my kids. My kids said, Mama, you need to get out there. You have to get these videos out. And they helped her put the first one. And they said, Mama, you need to do more. So she did another and another and another. And today, she has millions of followers around the world. She is a true culinary force. I love talking about Manal because she smashed every perception I had about being an Arab female with my cultural background. She actually had her first TV appearance in her 40s. She posted her first video on YouTube in her 50s. And in her 60s is when she's reaping the rewards. She didn't grow up with social media, and she's paved a completely new career for herself. She is a role model. Manal taught me that my barrier was not my age. My barrier was not my culture. My barrier was the story I'd attached to both. And on to belief number 5. People will see me the way I see myself. Despite the fact that I'm very confident in my craft, I have those self-conscious moments, where I'm like, have I got more gray? Have I put on more weight? What are people thinking? But I had an experience in 2010 that really changed things. I was given the opportunity to bring the opening of the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa, to the world. Now, I'm a highly organized and planned person. Nothing could have prepared me for the hours that followed. The festivities started a whole hour early, which meant we were suddenly on air a whole hour early. I wasn't ready. The presenters weren't ready. The guests weren't ready. The cameras weren't ready. We were not ready. We spent the total time to come chasing ourselves, trying to create the most impactful show we could. Everything was going wrong. It was horrible. In fact, I've done my best to block it out. But the one moment I consistently see with extreme clarity is when we were told we were off air. I remember sitting back on my seat with a huge sense of relief, which was almost immediately replaced by an overwhelming feeling of devastation. I'd been given this responsibility to bring this historic moment to audiences around the world, and I'd failed. Everything I'd planned had gone wrong. In fact, it was the worst show I had ever produced. What would people think? And right at that moment, my phone rang, and it was my mom. Hi, Mama. Mabruk, congratulations. That was amazing. And the fireworks and the fountains and the leadership of the UAE. Reem, that was the best show you'd ever produced. You must be so proud. How is it possible? My worst show is my mom's best show? I started to realize that she had no idea what was planned. She didn't know all the things that went wrong. She wasn't thinking any of the things that I was thinking. She watched an entertaining show on TV. Perception is reality. I'm so glad I learned that lesson in 2010 because it really changed how I see things. I realized nobody's having the conversations you think they're having. They may even be having the opposite. So what has all of this taught me? It's taught me that the most experienced voices don't remain invisible because of lack of value. They remain invisible because they were never taught or prepared to be seen in a world that now demands it. They are carrying their old stories into a new era. But the great news is, those stories can be rewritten. I know, because I rewrote mine. I didn't rewrite them straight away. Took me a while. I rewrote them every single time I said yes to an opportunity that is uncomfortable. I'm rewriting it right now. I started to understand visibility more. I started to see that there's a formula, there's a pattern, why some people are seen and others remain invisible. It's something I've started to think of as a visibility code. But it's not just an external strategy, it's an internal shift. It's a decision to stop allowing your limiting beliefs stand in the way of the person that you could be. So, share the lesson, say yes to the podcast, step on the stage, record the video, write the post. Not because you want attention, but because your experience may be exactly what someone needs to hear right now. I've started to believe that visibility is an act of service. The lessons you've learned, the mistakes you've made, the challenges you've overcome exist to serve those behind you on the journey. In fact, you are best positioned to serve the person you used to be. So when you choose to remain invisible, you're not just withholding opportunities from yourself. You're withholding your knowledge and your experience from others. The creator economy is not just for the youth. It's a space for leaders of all ages to embrace the attention that their experience deserves. It's currently missing the silver economy. And without that voice, the ecosystem is incomplete. The creator economy doesn't need attention. It needs experienced voices. It needs credibility. It needs leadership. It needs you. Because if you're not visible, you're invisible. And the time to start is now.